Located in Florence, Italy, is Donatello David. Donato da Niccolò di Bidio Bardi, the Florentine sculptor, beautifully sculpted him and left an indelible mark on the Renaissance and on future art itself. It took 10 years, 1430 to 1440, for this breathtaking sculpture to be finished during the early Renaissance, as he was one of the most influential individual artists of the 15th century, with Cosimo de' Medici, who was a lifelong friend and patron with potential that he could have commissioned the work. During this time, the new notion of humanism was what drove the art during the Renaissance. Humanism downplayed religious and secular dogma, while instead attached to the greatest importance to dignity and self-worth, plus the examination of vice and human evil. Donato is one of the key figures with Filippo Brunelleschi, Tommaso Masaccio, and Leon Battista during the early Renaissance, as Donato reinvented the art of sculptures just like Masaccio reinvented painting. Donatello's style over the years developed a style of lifelike and highly emotional sculptures with a Gothic style. He used a bronzed medium to sculpt the first freestanding nude male with a sense of a classical shallow relief, also known as a schiacciato, which caused a major stir in the art world. But he got inspiration from classical figures and nudes, which led him to utilize this technique in his Donatello David sculpture. In the elements and details of the figure, there is a sense of darkness, as before the death of Donatello on December 13th, 1466, he left not one, but two unfinished bronze pulpits in Florence, as it shows the torture and murder of Christ by means of distorted forms and wildly emotional actions, as the darkness seems to have an insight into human suffering in the dark realms of man's experience. Originally, in the beginning, the sculpture was meant for a cathedral. However, it was set up in the Palazzo Vecchio. It is an inspiring symbol of defiance of authority to the Florentines who were engaged in a struggle with the King of Naples at the time. Due to the struggles, it is believed to represent either the forces of civilization conquering barbarism or an assertion of the political dominance of Florence over Milan, or the Medici family over business rivals. The head in the sculpture depicts the defeat of Goliath, as a sword was used to kill him. But when you look at Donatello David's muscles in his arms holding the sword, it looks as if his muscles were never developed fully. This could imply that the victory was God's rather than man's. In the figure, there is no accidental compositional elements, as there was a crystal clear vision and many months of meticulous construction and perfectionist planning. He has a contrapposto stance, where the figure is slightly twisted, but is graceful and womanish, as his right hip is thrusted slightly outward, with his left hand on his left hip, in a stance of undeniable femininity. He could be taken as a woman, with his girl-like hands and a helmet that resembles a French lady's hat. When looking at his face expression, it expresses the sense of purity, youthfulness, innocence, with a slight hint of enigma and mischief. Looking from the perspective of the viewer, there is a sense of freestanding in the construction, which allows the viewer to see it from every possible angle and take note of all the nuisance and details that were so painstakingly applied.